This is an overview of the FlashTiming FTDisplay mobile app and reader board. The mobile app is a remote control for the display and works by connecting to the display's Wi-Fi network. When the display is first turned on, the name of the Wi-Fi network is displayed. Go to your device's settings menu and connect to the display's Wi-Fi network. When you open the FTDisplay mobile app, you will see a blue menu bar along the top of the screen, a FlashTiming logo banner, and a list of available FTDisplay modes. When you are successfully connected to the display, the Wi-Fi icon on the top left of your screen will be green. If the icon is red, tap the icon to configure your connectivity settings. The connectivity menu shows the display's SSID or Wi-Fi name, the IP address, and the server port. The IP address should be set to 192.168.10.1, and the server port should be set to 8889. Note that the IP address in this video is configured differently for demonstration purposes. The next item in the menu bar is the yellow brightness icon. The brightness menu can be used to set the display's brightness. This menu can also be used to clear the display. Note that the display ignores a clear display command if the clock is running. Each screen has a unique settings menu which is accessible from the gray settings icon. Note that the settings icon is disabled in the menu screen when you first open the app. There is no settings menu for the menu screen. In the top right of the screen, you see a drop-down menu with a list of available FTDisplay modes. Select FAT to use your display in FAT mode, or fully automatic timing mode. The FAT screen is used in conjunction with your FlashTiming FT-FAT system to automatically detect the start of a race, track the number of laps, or provide an unofficial winning time with the FT photo beam. If using the display with your FT photo beam, ensure that the photo beam is plugged into the port labeled PB1 on your display. Align the reflector with the photo beam. The yellow light will illuminate when the photo beam and reflector are aligned. Go to the FAT settings menu by clicking on the gray settings menu. From the settings menu, you can configure the photo beam display time and split prediction. The photo beam display time is the number of seconds that the clock will pause when the photo beam is broken. Here it is set to 5 seconds. Setting the display time to 0 will stop the clock until it is reset by the FTDisplay mobile app or by the FT-FAT timing system. The split prediction feature can be used in distance races to predict a winning time based on an athlete's current pace. If split prediction is turned on, be sure to set the track length, sign location, and event length. For example, if you intend to use the display at the finish line of a 3,200 meter race on a standard 400 meter track, you would set the track length to 400 meters, the sign location to 0 meters, and the event length to 3,200 meters. If the selected sign distance is equal to 0 or the length of the race, the display will use large font text and display the current race time. Press the start button to start the clock. If using the display in conjunction with your FT-FAT timing system, the display will prioritize a start signal from the FAT system over a signal from the mobile app. Once the race is started and the runners have passed the display, tap the right arrow at the top of the screen to switch to the next sign location. The display shows the current race time and distance in small font above the race length and projected finish time. If the display does not receive the signal from the mobile device, the sync button can be used to resync the display with the mobile device. After each lap, continue to the next display location until you have reached the final lap. If using the FT photo beam, tap the arm photo beam button when the athletes are approaching the finish line. A red asterisk will appear at the bottom left of the display. When the beam is broken, the display will pause for the user's selected delay time. In this case, the delay time is 5 seconds. After the race has ended and all of the participants have crossed the finish line, press the stop button. If using the display with the FT timing system, you need to stop the clock with your FT software. Notice that the reset button was disabled while the race was running. You may now reset the display and you are ready to start the next race. If you wish to use the display without split prediction, go to the settings menu and turn off split prediction. The display will now use large font, and the lap buttons at the top of the screen now control a lap counter instead of toggling between sign locations. The lap number is at the top left of the display. If the lap counter is set to 0, the lap number is not shown on the display. This concludes the use of your FT display in FT FAT mode. The stopwatch screen can be used to count up from a designated start time and has the ability to track split or lap times. From the settings menu, you can turn the buzzer on or off and set the lap and split display times. The buzz on start will sound the buzzer when the clock is started. The buzz on stop will sound the buzzer when the clock is stopped. The lap and split display time is the amount of time in seconds that the display pauses when the lap or split buttons are pressed. It is set to 5 seconds. Pressing the start or stop button starts and stops the clock. While the clock is running, pressing the split button will pause the clock and display the current race time. The clock will resume after the user-determined delay time, in this case 5 seconds. The first time that the lap button is pressed, it behaves the same as the split button. Pressing the button again displays the amount of time since the last time the button was pressed. When you stop the clock, the reset button becomes re-enabled. Pressing reset clears the lap and split times from the bottom of your screen. If you tap the red timer label at the middle of your screen, a pop-up occurs that allows you to adjust the current clock time. The timer shows hours, minutes, and seconds. If we adjust the clock to 2 minutes and press OK, you will see that the clock time is now 2 minutes. When you start the clock, it counts up from the designated start time. This concludes the demonstration of the FT display in stopwatch mode. The timer mode is used to count down from a designated start time. From the settings menu, you can enable the buzzer when the start or stop button is pressed or when the timer reaches 0. Press the red timer label to adjust the time. The displayed time is in hours, minutes, and seconds. Let's set the timer to 10 seconds. You can start or stop the clock with the Start/Stop button. When the clock reaches 0, the buzzer will sound if that feature was enabled. Press Reset to reset the clock to the start time. This concludes the demonstration for timer mode. The period clock can be used as a game clock during an athletic event or to keep a workout or practice on schedule. Go to the Settings menu. The period clock can count up or down. The Count Up feature causes the clock to count up from 0. If this feature is not enabled, the clock counts down from the designated start time. The Auto Advance feature will automatically start the clock and advance to the next period at the end of each period. Use this feature when using the display as a practice clock to keep your workouts on schedule. The interim is a delay time in seconds between periods and is only used when Auto Advance is enabled. This can be used as a rest period in between segments of a workout or allow for a transition time between drills. The Custom Period feature allows for variable period lengths. If this feature is not enabled, all periods are set to the same amount of time. If this feature is turned on, variable period lengths may be used. You can also turn the buzzer on or off at the beginning or end of each period. Tap the Edit Periods button to set the number of periods and period length. The period length is in minutes and seconds. Let's set up 3 10-second periods. The period number is shown at the top of your screen and on the left-hand side of the display. You can manually change the period with the left and right arrow keys. When you start the clock, the display counts down from the designated start time. Or, if you selected Count Up from the Settings menu, then it will count up from 0. If Auto Advance was turned on, the clock automatically advances to the next interim. If you selected 0 for an interim time, then it advances to the next period. Notice that the period number is flashing during an interim, and the clock always counts down during an interim. If you wanted to use custom periods, stop the clock and go to the Settings menu and turn on Custom Periods. Press the Edit Periods button. Earlier, we set up 3 10-second periods. You'll notice that these periods are still in the period list. You can remove these by pressing the Clear button. You can add more periods by setting the time and pressing the Add button. Let's add a 7-second period, a 12-second period, and a 20-second period. If you make a mistake and add an extra period, you can delete it by pressing the red X button. Or you can edit a period by pressing the blue Edit button. Let's set this period to 25 seconds. Now, when you start the clock, it will begin the first period of 7 seconds. It will then reach the 5-second interim, counting down. Next, period 2 is a 12-second period. There's the third interim for 5 seconds. And finally, a 25-second period. At any time, you can sound the buzzer with the buzzer button on the bottom right. If the clock is stopped, you can click on the red timer label to adjust the current time, the same way that you did in the timer and stopwatch modes. This concludes the tutorial for using the FTDisplay in period mode. The interval screen is very similar to the period screen with one key difference. The interval screen is designed with paced workouts in mind. It sounds a buzzer at the beginning and end of each period and can sound the buzzer at regular intervals during each period. If you go to the settings menu, you still have the count up and auto advance features that you saw in period screen. You also have a cooldown feature. This is the same thing as the interim feature in period clock. Custom intervals are the same as custom periods. There is one new feature called buzzer intervals. This is the number of segments that you want to break up each interval into. If you are running repeat 200 meters and wanted the buzzer to go off every 50 meters to keep the athletes on pace, you would set this to 4 because you want to divide the intervals into 4 equal segments. Since we are doing repeat 200 meters, let's set the cooldown to 90 seconds. Let's edit the intervals. Since we're doing 200 meters, let's do 10 28-second intervals. When we start the clock, the buzzer will go off. The buzzer goes off at the start and end of each interval. Since we chose 4 buzzer intervals and 28-second intervals, the buzzer will go off every 7 seconds. When it reaches the end of the interval, it should start the cooldown, and just like in period mode, the interval number is flashing and counts down. The 90-second interim that we chose is displayed as 1 minute and 30 seconds. Let's stop the clock. If you wanted to configure your intervals as custom intervals, go to the settings menu and enable custom intervals. You can edit the intervals the same way that you did in period mode, with the red X's on the left and the edit buttons on the right. And you can add times at the top of the screen. This concludes the demonstration of the FTDisplay in interval mode. The cross-country mode is similar to the split prediction feature in FAT mode, with the key difference being that cross-country mode is designed for use with multiple displays. Go to the settings menu. You can set the number of the displays, the course length, and the display location for each sign. Let's set up a 5K race with displays at every mile. The course length is set to 5 kilometers. Display 1 location is at 1 mile. Display 2 location is at 2 miles. And display 3 location is at 3 miles. When the race starts, press the Start button on your mobile device. Currently, the display does not show the sign location or course length. Press the Sync button to synchronize the display with your mobile device. The display now shows the current distance and race time above the course length and predicted finish time. Press the right arrow to advance to the next display. When you are within Wi-Fi range and have connected to the second display, press the Sync button to synchronize the display with your device. Notice that the display now reads 2 miles and 5 kilometers. Let's go to the next display. If the display location is equal to the course length, it will display the current race time in large font. When the clock is stopped, you can adjust the current race time by pressing the red timer label the same way that you did in previous modes. This concludes the demonstration of the FTDisplay in cross-country mode. Touchpad mode is used with the FT photo beam and touchpad to time athletes in speed and agility drills such as the 5-10-5 shuttle, 40-yard dash, or any other timed speed and agility drill. Go to the settings menu to configure the display. The side-by-side feature is used with 2 touchpads and photo beams in order to time 2 athletes simultaneously. The Auto Arm Photo Beam feature will automatically arm the photo beam when the touchpad is released and after the photo beam delay time has been satisfied. If you are running an event where the athlete will cross the finish line multiple times before finishing, such as the 5-10-5 shuttle, you can set the number of laps to a number greater than 1. For example, in the 5-10-5 shuttle, you want to set the number of laps to 2 because the athlete will break the finish line twice before finishing. And you want to set the photo beam delay time long enough for the athlete's body to clear the photo beam, but short enough so that the athlete has time to finish the race. Let's say 1 second for the 5-10-5 shuttle. The display ignores a broken photo beam within the first second of the race and requires a 1 second delay after the first time it is broken and to arm the photo beam. The second time that the beam is broken, it will stop the clock. Alternatively, you could disable the auto arm feature and manually arm the beam when the athlete is about to cross the finish line. The reset delay is the amount of time that the display pauses before resetting to the ready state. Set this to 0 if you wish to manually reset the display. The display is currently in the ready state. When you press the touchpad, the display will read set. If you release the touchpad before 2 seconds has passed, it will return to the ready state. After you hold the touchpad for 2 seconds, the display will read 0 and is ready to start the race. When the touchpad is released, the clock starts. After 1 second, a dash appears in the lower left of the display. This indicates that the 1 second photo beam delay has been satisfied. When the beam is broken, this dash disappears. 1 second later, an asterisk appears instead. This means that the photo beam is armed. When the beam is broken, the clock will stop and the finish time will appear on the mobile device under lane 1. If using the display with the side-by-side feature enabled, The second photo beam's results will appear under lane 2. If you set the reset delay to something other than 0 then the display will manually arm the touchpad. If you set the reset delay to 0, you will need to press the Arm Touchpad button in order to reset the display to the ready state. The Save CSV button will prompt you for a file name to save a CSV to your device. When you tap the Save button, a pop-up will appear with the file location. You can navigate to this folder using your device's file browser or by plugging into a computer and browsing to the file location. If using an Apple device, such as an iPhone or iPad, you can access this file by plugging into your computer and opening iTunes. Click App on the left-hand side and scroll down to the bottom under File Sharing. Select FTDisplay under Apps, and a list of available files is listed on the right-hand side. Tap Clear Results to erase the results from the bottom of your screen. A pop-up will appear asking if you want to confirm. And you will see that the time is no longer listed under lane 1. This concludes the touchpad demonstration for the FTDisplay. The text screen is used to display messages on the display. Type a message into the text box at the top of the screen and press Display Text. The display defaults to large font, but you can select medium or small font. If you select small font, a second text box appears on your screen. If you use small font, you can display up to 2 lines of text. You may choose to align the text left, centered, or right justified. When you want to clear the display, press the Clear Display button. The display is blank. There is no settings menu for text mode, and you will notice that the settings icon is disabled. This concludes the demonstration for text mode with the FTDisplay. The field screen is used as a performance board for field events. Enter a height or distance in feet and inches or meters and centimeters. Let's enter 5 feet and 4 inches. Then press Display Results. The distance is displayed in feet and inches on the center of the display. We can choose a different font size, medium, small. When you select small font, there is an option to enter a contestant name. Let's say John Doe. When you display the results, you see John Doe, 5 feet, 4 inches. If you wanted to display this distance in meters, just select meters/centimeters and press Display Results. 5 meters and 4 centimeters is 5.04 meters. If you go to the Settings menu, you can choose to display dual dimensions. If you do this, the display toggles between metric and English units. If you have 5 seconds selected under the toggle delay time, then it toggles every 5 seconds. Press display results and you will see John Doe 5.04 meters. 5 seconds later, it toggles to 16 feet 6 1/4 inches. It will continue to toggle until you press clear display or change modes. This concludes the demonstration for the field screen of your FTDisplay.